guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Mandy if you're new here, and I am a stay-at-home mom to my son Nico, who is 6 months old. He turned 6 months old on Saturday, the 24th, October 24th. Today we actually had his 6-month appointment at his pediatrician, so I wanted to give everybody an update on what milestones he's reaching at 6 months, as well as everything the doctor said about his height and weight. Nico's hanging out in the background if you don't hear him, or if you do hear him, that's what that is. So I will give you an update on how I'm feeling at 6 months postpartum after my C-section. Okay, so let's get into it. So first I'll give you his height and weight. So his height was 27 inches. He's in the 82nd percentile for height, which is really good. I mean, which means he's really tall. I'm only 5'1", and Polly is 6 feet, so hopefully he'll be tall. We were kind of worried about him being short because I'm super short, so hopefully he'll be tall. In the very beginning, because of our breastfeeding struggles, he was very low, not very low in weight, but he was in a lower percentile for weight in the very beginning. Then he went up to, we worked on the breastfeeding. He went up to the 48th percentile at 3 months. And then at 4 months, we went back to the doctors and noticed and realized he was in the 38th percentile for weight. So he had gone down. So the doctor was not, you know, super concerned. So I kind of just kept an eye on it. I've been trying really hard to feed on demand, feed overnight, and I thought he was gaining weight, but today they let me know that he's in the 15th percentile for weight. So the doctor still wasn't super concerned. Okay, so Nico got a little fussy, so I'm nursing him now. He'll probably fall asleep. I had to wake him up for his appointment, so his sleep schedule's a little off today. But anyways, the doctor was not concerned really with the with him being in the 15th percentile for weight. She said that he will probably go through a growth spurt at 9 months, and that I should definitely try to feed him solids twice a day instead of once a day. So we're going to start that. He does go back to the doctor next month. Actually December 3rd he goes back, and that is to give him his flu booster shot. So I'm assuming they'll weigh him then, and if they don't routinely, I'm definitely going to ask them to weigh him just to make sure that we're, you know, everything's okay. But it's always been a concern because we're breastfeeding and because I had, you know, supply issues. So I definitely want to make sure that I'm being conscious of that, but the doctor wasn't concerned, so I'm not gonna stress over it. That's that. He got his shots. He did really well. He had a little, you know, he cried a little bit, but as soon as I picked him up, he was fine. Same with last time. His first time was a little different, but still, even the first time, he really wasn't that bad. He cried just until I nursed him. Nico is now sitting up by himself. He can catch himself if he starts to get off balance, which he wasn't able to do before. He probably started sitting up in the last week of being 5 months. He's been sitting up for like a week and a half. He gets stronger and stronger with that every day. He holds his head very, very steady when he sits up, which they said at the doctor's was a really good thing. He grabs his toes. He tries to put his toes in his mouth. So he's been doing that since he's been about 4.5 months. So the doctor last time said that he was a little advanced in that department, so that was good. He rolls over both ways. He's been rolling over both ways since he was like 4 months. He also does like a little bit of a wave. It's super cute. Oh my god, he literally just waved. He just waved. Nico, look at Nona. Oh my god. Nico. In the last week or so, he's been starting to do like the little army crawl or the little inchworm. He does get up on his knees, but he doesn't go anywhere. He kind of just chills, and he does rock back and forth on his knees, but he doesn't like crawl. But he does pull himself around with his arms. I think he'll probably like crawl and walk before he talks. So I've stopped using a bath sling in the bathtub because he sits by himself, and I use his baby bath now inside the sink. So it's not as deep, it's kind of a softer material, and I don't put as much water in just because, you know, it's easier for me to catch him if he does start to slip. But he's been really good. I do hold on to him most of the time, but if I don't, he doesn't have a problem. He definitely can sit up for long periods of time by himself. So that's what we've been doing in the bathtub. I've put him in his high chair. That started like right at 6 months, like a couple days before he turned 6 months old, like officially. He now eats oatmeal, cereal, some banana, some avocado, some sweet potatoes. I'm going to introduce carrots next week. Also today I started mixing in a little bit of peanut butter in his cereal, and he did really well with that, no issues. So the doctor said do that every other day just to avoid any allergies and to just keep an eye on it if he does have a reaction. We want to know, you know, early on. So he nurses about 5 times a day, 4 to 5 times a day. He is still waking up every 3 hours overnight, but I'll start to nurse him and he'll fall asleep immediately. So he doesn't really eat. I've been having Polly give him a bottle before bed just to keep him asleep, but he still wakes up at midnight. So I'll put him down at like 7:38 and he'll wake up at midnight. He'll eat for like a minute and then he'll fall back asleep like that, but then he wakes up again at like 3:30 and the same thing. So I told the doctor, she said that he's waking up only to see me, and that it's not because he's hungry, that he is able to go 8 to 10 hours without eating. And he was sleeping 10 hours a night at 3 months, and then he had the sleep regression and that all went out the window. So I know he can do it. It's just, the doctor said he just doesn't want to. He wants to see me during the night. So she said to ignore him when he cries and that eventually he'll stop. Also, he coughs, like fake coughs, to try to get my attention. And the doctor asked me if he was doing that. And I said, yeah, he does it all the time. And she said that's a sign that shows that he is able to be spoiled if you let him. So she said, now that you know that, you have to keep an eye on that, make sure he's not being spoiled, and, you know, ignore him if he needs to be ignored, like the overnight feedings. She said do not feed him overnight, which is funny because the lactation consultant told me the doctor will tell you not to feed him overnight, but you do have to wake up and feed him. So that's kind of tough when your lactation consultant and your pediatrician have a conflicting opinion. Like, who do you listen to? I did listen to a lactation consultant. The doctor told me at 4 months that I don't have to wake up for him overnight anymore, but I decided to continue nursing him overnight. I knew his weight was kind of iffy, so I decided to continue nursing him overnight. And now that I've done that, I feel that I should listen to the doctor now. I think it's time to, you know, deny feedings overnight just because of his age, and I don't want him to be spoiled. And I feel like if I continue feeding him overnight, it's going to create bad habits. So I definitely want to take care of that now. I don't regret, you know, waking up with him overnight before. So, you know, I have no regrets there. I think it was the best at the time. And now I just feel like it's best that we stop the overnight feedings. That's all. So we're going to try that. I'll update you guys on that next month and how that goes. So that's pretty much it for Nico. As far as I go, so I had a C-section 6 months ago, my first and only C-section. It was unplanned. I'm actually going to have a video coming out soon of my birth story where I will give more details on my unplanned C-section and everything that came with that, because it's definitely a very interesting story. Some things happened that weren't supposed to happen, and it was very traumatizing. The baby was fine. There was some things that went on with me that was just crazy. So I'm gonna share that soon, so look out for that. So 6 months postpartum, I feel pretty good. My hormones have definitely evened out, whereas even up to the last month, I definitely had like a hormonal imbalance and a lot of anxiety and things like that, but that seems to have evened itself out. I feel fine now. I feel pretty much back to normal. I'd say I feel 80%, you know, hormone wise and mood wise, I feel, and anxiety and all that, I feel I'm like 80% back to normal. So I still have a little ways to go, but I think that I'm almost there. So physically, so my C-section scar, okay, so I do work out. I do a lot of ab workouts, and I find it difficult to do the ab workouts, even though I do them. While I'm doing them, it's a little uncomfortable. It just hurts more, not hurt, but it's more of like a pull and an ache. In that area down by like where my C-section scar is. So, you know, I have kind of like a pulling sensation, and it aches a little bit while I'm doing the exercise, but afterwards it's fine. It doesn't get sore or anything like that. So that's why I'm not really worried about that. I just kind of take it easy while I'm doing it and just go slow. And that's been working. So I'm just going to continue doing that. So it's really numb around my scar. All that, like the whole area around my scar is numb. I would say like a 2-inch radius around, 2-inch in diameter? Like 2-inch radius around my scar. Does that make sense? So like not just the area like right by my scar, but it does kind of go out a little bit on all sides. So that's super, super numb. There are days where I'll have kind of a pulling sensation or an ache on the inside, like my muscles inside around that area. But that's not constant or anything, and it's not painful really. I mean, sometimes it can be a little achy, but it's nothing serious. So the one thing that does drive me crazy is the itching. My scar itches so bad. Like I find myself always itching it, and it's like really, really irritating. Like it's annoying that I have to itch my scar constantly, and it's kind of embarrassing. That is the one thing that really bothers me. You know, the pulling is definitely not pleasant, the pulling sensation that I have. I probably get that pulling feeling maybe like half the time, and then the itching is like 90% of the time I am itching that scar, and it's just, if I'm not itching it, if I'm not scratching it, it itches. So I mean, it itches probably more after I scratch it, but that is the most annoying thing, is the itching. And I know that means that it's healing, which is really, really good. So, you know, I can only complain so much about that, but it really is annoying. But other than that, like, I feel fine. I feel great. My body went back to normal. I do have a little tiny pouch, like where my uterus is, and I noticed that if so my weight has always fluctuated throughout my life. So I did lose a little bit of weight right after I gave birth, but the pouch was, right after I gave birth, the pouch was still pretty prominent because I had just given birth. Then I gained a little bit of weight, and I noticed that the pouch kind of increased. Then I lost weight like a month ago, and the pouch went down. It was almost non-existent. Then I gained a little bit of weight again, and it puffed right back up. So that is a little irritating, but I know now that it can be lost. So I'm just going to continue working out vigorously like I was before, and doing a lot of ab workouts, and it should go away because it did before. I think I got pretty lucky with postpartum belly. I bounced back pretty quickly. I don't know that that will happen with my next baby, but for this one it did. Usually I guess your first one you bounce back, but we'll see how the next one goes. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for Nico's 6-month update and my 6-month postpartum update. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below or message me directly. I'm gonna get this one to sleep, and we'll see you next month for his 7-month update. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.